One question I get asked all the time is how to sound more like a leader when you speak English at work, how to sound more confident in your English. It's not about speaking English perfectly. Your English doesn't have to be perfect. You just need some good key phrases and some key words that show clarity and authority. And that's exactly what I'm going to give you in this video today. I'm going to give you 3 powerful tips to speak English more confidently, plus the exact words and phrases that you'll need. Now, let's get started and let's upgrade how you show up in every conversation. My first tip to sound more confident in your English is to speak up. Now, what does it mean to speak up? This is a phrasal verb in English. It has a couple of different meanings, but in this context, it means to say what you think, to share your opinion, speak up, to say what you think about something. Leaders show their confidence by sharing thoughtful opinions. Sharing your views and speaking up in groups not only shows that you're engaged and thinking critically, but it also boosts your visibility and your influence within the team. So this is something that you want to get used to doing. So when you have a thought to share, here are some good phrases you can use. In my view, from my experience, based on the data, I think, based on the data, I think. One important thing to consider is, it seems to me that, I'd like to add that. This is good when you're extending someone else's idea. I'd like to add that. Another way you can do this is to build on that point. That's a very sophisticated expression. To build on that point. Again, you're following up on what someone else has already said. To build on that point. If you guys are finding this video helpful so far, give me some feedback by hitting the like button. Tip number 2 to sound more confident, speak smart. Leaders speak with purpose and intention. They don't say more than they need to. They get to the point. I love this phrase, get to the point. This is so common, especially in American English. This means to only share what's important without unnecessary words, unnecessary info, or unnecessary delay, to get to the point. Okay, now here's some really good phrases that you can use to get to the point, speak smart, and keep people curious and engaged about what you have to say. Here's the key takeaway. Here's the key takeaway. Here's how I see it. Here's how I see it. Now that word here, starting with the word here, it's something very subtle, very simple, but it automatically gets people curious about what you have to say next. So it's a good way to keep them engaged. I'll break it down. I'll break it down. This means I'll explain it in a simple way. The bottom line is, that means the most important point is, or what matters most is the bottom line. Now, I also like to use numbers or use good transition phrases to organize my thoughts and keep people in tune with what I'm saying. For example, there are 2 things I'd like to mention. Here's what I think, and I'll give you 3 reasons why. Here's what I think, and I'll give you 3 reasons why. Or an example of using some transition phrases could be, first, we need to think about. Second, the challenge is. Finally, I recommend we. My third and final tip to sound more like a leader when you speak English, speak strong. Now, what do I mean by this? By speaking strong, I don't mean to speak in a loud voice or to be dominating the conversation. I just mean to avoid weak language. Now, weak language are words and phrases that show uncertainty. They make you sound insecure, not confident. They just decrease the value of what you're saying. So some examples of weak language could be, this is probably a really bad idea, but I'll try. Hey, I'm really sorry to bother you. It's okay to say those things once in a while. It can humanize conversations, but you just don't want to make a habit of it. So let's look at some ways to turn this weak language into stronger language. For example, I think maybe we should try, I suggest, or I propose, I suggest. I propose. This is probably a bad idea, but here's something we can consider. Here's something we can consider. It feels like, based on the data, I really like this one because whenever it's possible, whenever it makes sense in a situation, it's always best to base things on facts and data instead of feelings and opinions. So this is a good one. I don't know much about this, but I'm still learning about. I'll try. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. I'm really sorry to bother you, but do you have a moment to discuss? I'm confused. Could you help me understand? Okay, we covered a lot of ground today, you guys. I hope you found these 3 tips helpful, but let's not stop there. I've got 5 power words that will really help you to sound more professional, even more confident in your English at work. You can check that out right here. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you always, and I'll see you in this video next.